It has been a while since I did an I Stand with Vic video. At least some months, several months at most. But for those wondering, where have I been in those several months? And why is it that I was so minimalistic over 2024? Well, it's a threefold thing. Number one, Vic basically getting my case to stop because anyone who remembers around this time last year, I took it a step too far. I'm willing to admit and acknowledge that mistake. Two, I've had other things to deal with in my life recently. I mean, one of which, my father having to be moved into a nursing home because his Alzheimer's has gotten pretty severe. Pray for him, for me. Three, I have a new side gig aside from the traditional Mets episodes now, mostly doing baseball and pro wrestling calls for a little collective of New York Giants fans from across the world known as the Big Blue Crew Sports Network. And four, so technically it's fourfold, I've had a job at this place since last March. So I haven't had a lot of time or energy to put anything together for I Stand with Vic in the last, or at least not do it consistently over the last 10 to 12 months. That said, MarzGurl has really taken it to the ultimate low. For those wondering, she recently posted a documentary on the case, a case that she caused for the last 7 years. And if you watch it, not that I have, but I have a good guess of what's in it. Nothing but complete and utter bullshit. Some of it targeted at me since I was the most feral dog out of the bunch. And basically, never holding herself accountable for lying about Vic's pedophilia allegations. I mean, let's be honest. The one who probably had the most sensible, the outsider who probably had the most sensible outlook on why Vic got fired, at least from my perspective, is Justin Kravlet, aka the American Anime Otaku. Watch his episode 169, Downfall of Funimation video, where he briefly mentions the case and basically says that the allegations were used as a means to an end to get rid of them under falsified, to start a kangaroo court to basically get rid of Vic because the more practical thing was they couldn't handle the fact that Vic has a bit of a perfectionist. He is kind of a perfectionist. But if you're a perfectionist, I don't see anything wrong with that. I mean, it's just that you have a bit of a small ego issue, and you can't, and you're very meticulous. I mean, even the most stingy of cooks are like that, and even some of the most top tier Hollywood actors are like that. I mean, if you wanted him gone because of a proposed case of narcissism, that would have been more understandable in my take. But throwing him under the bus for bogus pedophile allegations that were actually piggybacked from the Ella Guardiola case of 2014, and then throwing them on the Vic 6 years, 5 to 6 years later, horse shit. MarzGurl has taken it also to the levels of basically demanding and in a lot of cases threatening cons to not bring Vic in and rescind the contracts and sending attack dogs to do the same. Stalking Vic and his new wife, threatening the cops on anyone who dare disagree with her. Trust me, she's done that to me. I've beaten that dead horse into the ground. And now pushing this one sided, overkill bullshit documentary. And for what reason? Well, it's to absolve herself of the guilt of ever having worked with a known pedophile in her own right. Tell me, does the name Justin Carmichael ring any bells? If you don't know who that was a man she used to work with at Channel Awesome called who went under the name Jewario. He basically reviewed retro import games. and told you if you would like to play them or not. However, behind the scenes, behind that happy-go-lucky facade, he was a fucking groomer, an adulterous bastard, similar to what I constantly call Sabbath. Promiscuous to a fault, despite the fact that, like Sabbath, Justin was married. When the Walker brothers and Mike Michaud got info about these allegations, they were in 2013, going into 14, they were considering firing Justin. Just put Justin in a state of depression of his own machinations. And then what happened? January 25th, 2014, locked himself in a bathroom, put the gun to his head in his Colorado home, put the gun to his head, bang. And for the next 3 to 4 years, everyone lionized Justin. Even a wake and funeral pseudo wake and funeral at Con Bravos shortly after he passed away in 2014. But it wasn't until 2018 that the truth got out. And hence why anyone who did have the yellow Wario cap on their shelves, Linkara, Bennett, Angry Joe, MarzGurl, etc., stopped paying tribute to Justin. And was also a straw that broke the camel's back for many of the content creators, including Kaylin. She started the channel Not So Awesome document, and it led to a mass talent exodus from the group. For those wondering what she did there, she was the head of the anime news editorial. More direct, like me, she's more direct and serious in the content she does. I mean, she did over at that site from like 2008 or 9 to 2017. Where in my case, I do a lot of my sports calls relatively seriously. Though I can get overly excited. Up to the point where my mother bugs me to shut up. But that's not here or there. This led to a massive amount of guilt that ate away at MarzGurl's logic and mindset. Throw in the fact that she's a hardcore woke lefty didn't help either. So in January of 2019, she starts the Kick Vic movement, using doctored photos, falsified evidence, and such to basically give the Crunchyroll cabal, or Funny Farm, the opportunity they need to get rid of Vic. Here's the thing. With people of Italian descent, like not just Vic, but also myself, we are very emotional and passionate, whether it's getting passionately angry like me, or in Vic's case, overly emotional and wanting to be one with the fan base. Not in the sexual sense, more of the friendly sort of sense. But basically, the allegations were bullshit. And everyone played on the fact that even though they were bullshit, they could still get rid of Vic. So Vic hires Nick Rekieta. Unfortunately, he misdirects Vic's target. Instead of going after MarzGurl, he goes after Funimation, mostly so Nick can get a few bucks. He used to say it doesn't pan out. And for the past 6 years since the initial verdict, MarzGurl has been pushing her bullshit narrative. Well, technically 7, but the point still applies. It's basically, she's the Abigail Williams to Vic's John Proctor. For those who don't know, get the reference, it's from Arthur Miller's 1953 book, play, and then turned into a 1996 film starring Winona Ryder and John Cusack, or John Malkovich. Don't remember which. The Crucible, which was basically Miller's allegorical take, use of allegory to replicate what he had to go through in the late 40s and early 50s, the Red Scare and McCarthyism. But you know what the sad thing is? Historically, it took less than a little more than a year for the Salem witch trials to wrap up because Governor Phipps came down on the courts for pushing this bullshit as long as they did. No one in the last 7 has pushed MarzGurl to shut the fuck up, and she's gotten away with it for so long, despite the fact people on both sides are now getting tired of the narrative. But this is basically her last hurrah. Why is that? Well, she's terrified of a great media purge. Trump is coming back into office in the next few days. Back into the presidency for the next few days. In the next few days. And if he has his way, we could see we could, not saying that we will, see rampant investigations throughout the media, on the mainstream media companies through the downsized federal services. And this would include Sony and Crunchyroll. And once they find out that the allegations are false and the truth is that people like Chris Sabat, Damon Mills, DC Douglas, etc., are the sickos and not Vic, it ruins Kaylin Delane Saucedo, aka MarzGurl's credibility. Because let me make the point clear. Long story short, and I know too late, this whole campaign that she's run for the last 7 years, not only one, makes her look like a grade A psychopath, but two, has never been about standing up to pedophiles, keeping the pedos out, or Vic himself. It's been about her stupid, self indulgent campaign to absolve herself of overwrought guilt of associating with a known pedo in Justin. She's nothing but a compulsive serial liar and grifter. If I remember correctly, there's a Kiwi Farms thread about how her grifting career started back in 2004. That's all this is. No more and no less. That said, I stand with Vic now, then, forever. I'm not sure if I'll come back to this ever again, as I've said, other things in life have gotten in my way, or in my way, and while they have been a lot more constructive, there are still times like today where I just want to get on here, chew that bitch up, and spit her out. Comment, like, and subscribe. This is Mets2128 signing out. Goodbye, and good fucking night. Bang.